The new DA talks about how to curb crime. Tornado cleanup efforts continue in Selma, and Demopolis celebrates Rooster Day. That and more in this week's edition of the Black Belt Newscast, broadcast from the heart of the Black Belt. I'm Cindy Fisher, publisher.
And I'm Todd Prater, staff writer. Here's this week's top stories.
Todd and I got an exclusive interview with our new district attorney, Robert Turner Jr. last week. We got some great insight into efforts he's making to curb the critical crime rate in the 4th Judicial Circuit that he covers.
Turner took over in January as the first new prosecutor in nearly 20 years, and he says he's dedicated to making the Black Belt's criminal justice system part of the solution to the rising crime rate.
His biggest task is going through more than 700 files that haven't been resolved and bringing them to some resolution. He says this delay is likely contributing to retaliation crimes that have been plaguing his district, which includes Dallas, Perry, Wilcox, Hale, and Bibb counties.
You can read more about our interview in this week's Selma Sun print edition, and you can see it at blackbeltnewsnetwork.com. And Danielle Wooten, director of Selma's Planning and Development Department, gave an update on the tornado damage during a recent Rotary Club meeting. She reported that the January 12 tornado damaged 3,200 structures, impacted some 470 businesses, and displaced around 1,800 families. Wooten also reported that FEMA has approved over 2,500 applications for relief out of nearly 3,200 that they've received from individuals. Unfortunately, nearly 430 of the approved applicants cannot be located because they're renters and they have no real attachment to that particular piece of property like the owners do.
And we have a lot of displaced folks.
A lot.
So finding them, we hope we don't lose them.
Right, we need to find them, get them back in town.
Wooten also reported that the cleanup continues and is now at the point of removing storm debris from private property. The city submitted requests to FEMA for the removal of debris from 815 properties. So far, 157 of those requests have been approved. Wooten said that property owners have to fill out a form and give city employees or contractors permission to go onto their property to remove the debris. FEMA covers 75% of the cost, and the city pays the remaining 25%, but they got good news from Governor Kay Ivey, who says that the state will help by picking up half of that cost. Debris removed in the first 30 days was covered at 100%, but as you know, it's taken a lot longer than a month to clean this all up.
And we still got some ways to go. We do.
A
few more months before it's completely clean. As a matter of fact, tornado cleanup and New Live Oak Cemetery is another month away. So the cemetery remains closed, meaning funerals, visitations, all still on hold. Selma Cemetery Director Reginald Wells says that there's about 70 trees down and hanger limbs lodged in trees that are remaining standing. That makes the graveyard unsafe. Yeah. FEMA officials toured the cemetery last week to make their assessment, but archaeologists have to survey the root balls from the downed trees before those trees are removed to make sure there's no artifacts in the dirt. And they're not expected to come into Selma until next week. Doug Buster heads up the Cemetery Preservation Group. He says they're going to be partnering with Selma Funeral Home to reset any markers that have been knocked down or pushed over or pushed out of place.
Yeah, so it's going to take a little while, but they have to be delicate. You know, those big giant trucks are not allowed on those historic streets.
So that's going to make an added challenge.
So they have to, actually pick it up and carry it out.
You know, speaking of the cemetery, Doug Buster shared with me an interesting bit of history, and it's the reason why New Live Oak Cemetery received so much more damage than Old Live Oak Cemetery.
Oh, what's that?
The difference in the trees. There's two different varieties of live oak trees.
Okay.
Of oak trees. In Old Live Oak Cemetery, it is the Southern Live Oak, which is where the two cemeteries get their name. In New Live Oak, it's a laurel oak. Southern Live Oak has a much deeper, hardier root system, and so they don't come down. The laurel oaks have a little bit lighter root system, so they're easier for the wind to knock down.
Oh, man.
The interesting historic twist is when they ordered the new trees for the New Live Oak Cemetery and they were delivered and planted, nobody noticed it was the wrong variety.
Oh, no.
So it was supposed to have been.
They're all beautiful.
They're all beautiful. They look a lot alike. They're very similar.
And they make Selma beautiful in that cemetery.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So.
And you'll see those New Live Oaks live 300 or 400 years.
Yes, which is amazing.
Yeah. The other ones, they only live about 100 years, but they still look a lot the same. So.
Yeah, only 100 years.
Yeah.
Rooster Day in Demopolis was on April 1st and it drew a big crowd. The event is a fundraiser for the Marengo County Historical Society. Organizer Kirk Brooker told us that it is an economic boon to Demopolis.
Saturday, April 1st was Rooster Day in downtown Demopolis. Kirk Brooker is Operations Director for the Marengo County Historical Society, and he explains what exactly is Rooster Day.
And it is a celebration of the 1919 rooster auction that took place right here in Public Square. Now, why were they auctioning off roosters in 1919? To build a bridge, of course, over the Tombigbee River connecting Marengo County and Sumter County. And it was supposed to be the last link in the Dixie Overland Highway. They just needed that bridge to finish the highway that stretched from Savannah, Georgia to San Diego, California. So they auctioned off roosters right here. Didn't raise quite enough money, but they raised a pretty good amount, added to it, and built the bridge, which is now known as the Rooster Bridge. So we are on our third and fourth bridge. Obviously, if you build a bridge in 1919, it's not one you want to cross over in 2023.
They skipped 2020, but this is the 7th annual Rooster Day, and it was a great success.
So we started Rooster Day in 2016 to celebrate that, but also as a fundraiser for the Marengo County Historical Society. Now, while it is a fundraiser for us, it is also an economic boost for the community as a whole. I mean, when you've got people coming in from other communities outside of state, they're spending money on gas, they're spending money in the park itself, in our stores downtown, and it definitely is an economic boost for this area. This year, I'm looking at probably 5,000 people here between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. One thing that separates Rooster Day is that all of the vendors have to be handmade items. So you're talking about artists that paint, photography, pottery, crocheting, but soap making. They've got to hand make what they bring. None of it is retail, so it's all handmade. Then we have food vendors that are from the area. We got barbecue and crawfish and rooster legs, a little bit of everything for people here. And then we have games for the kids, free games for the kids. We also have inflatables, bouncy house, the slide, a petting zoo, face painting, balloon art, you name it. We've got lots of things for the kids as well.
It was a really great day and the weather was perfect. I know
beautiful.
you were there too.
I was there too. It was a lot of fun.
We were both there.
I know, we just missed each other.
It was a great crowd though, and I had a lot of fun.
It was a huge crowd.
I love seeing all the handmade, homemade things.
That's an interesting point.
I like that all the vendors have to make their own things.
Yeah, I love that.
That makes it really unique. I wish they had some more roosters there. They had a petting zoo.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I got to pet the little goats.
Oh yes, the llama was my favorite. Did you see his underwear? I got a picture of it. We'll put it on there. Thank you for joining us for this week's edition of the Black Belt Newscast. Read stories like these at blackbeltnewsnetwork.com and on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We are on all of them. Also subscribe to get daily Black Belt News headlines every day at blackbeltnewsnetwork.com or at bbnn.news. Just another way to get to us. Go under our subscribe button. It'll take you to all the newsletters to choose from.
And we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
The Rural Health Medical Program has been a beacon in the state of Alabama for over 40 plus years. We are one of 17 community health centers across the state. We sit across 6 counties in the Black Belt region of Alabama. We provide preventative and primary health care services to all individuals, regardless of their ability to pay. For more information on how you can become a member of our team or to receive services from the Rural Health Medical Program, give us a call at 844-736-7629.